First, I'm going to go backwards through the slides, and then I'm going to wind up talking about feet on today's Unnamed Real Estate Podcast. You know, you guys probably don't know it, but I'm having light envy over here. Hi, my name is Charles Ray Dawson. I'm the associate broker, residential sales manager for ProStar Realty. This is Unnamed Real Estate Podcast, episode 105. Yeah, I think it's 105. So how are you guys all doing out there? The reason why I'm saying light envy is because I just sat here for probably a good more time than I had messing around with the lighting and everything, just because this is not exactly what I call the best studio for recording a video. So what I was doing is I was playing with my filler lights back here, which you don't actually know exist. And what they're supposed to do is they're supposed to be casting light behind me, creating a contrast between my hair color and the background that you see in back. This is what you do if you had a professional YouTube channel instead of this thrown together thing that I got going on right here. But hey, all I do is I talk about real estate. So I'm not sitting there talking about the latest movie that came out and why it sucked or why you should be watching Yellowstone because it's the greatest show ever. I'm not talking about the latest politician who did what to whom and how often, or who found what where, or any of that stuff. We just talk the numbers and a little bit about pretty houses, right? But mostly the numbers. So it's February the 2nd. Groundhog Day, and we got the first month already in the can, and oh boy did we have some changes and everything on that. So let's start off with that and we'll continue along. Hold on for a second. So the biggest news that we have on the numbers and everything like that is we're continuing that swing into the seller's market. And so I'm going to change the slides up just a little bit on you guys, right? Let's we've all seen this slide, and I keep showing this thing over and over again, the market cycle. All right, and got this right off the Comfort Report, and I've been using the general market cycle slide usually to wrap up. And today we're going to start with it because I want to show you how fast we just burned through a market cycle. I mean, we're not all the way around. We still got at least 2-3 more steps to go and everything like that. But normal market cycle takes about 3 to 5 years here. And we've just gone through most of the stages of complete market cycle in 1 year. And we can see that February and March, all right, we're looking right here on the chart. And we can see that, okay, February euphoria. Everybody knows what was going on there. And then we started seeing that stuff start, the little bit of unease kick in about March. And then right there at the end, I mean, you can look at the numbers, and I've shown you the numbers. You can see that last weekend of March was the last great selling weekend. And then it started kicking off up there, right? Denial into pessimism. By June, we were in a full-blown panic. By July, okay, we were capitulating and throwing our children to the wolves so our sled could escape. And we went through, we're November and December. But once again, okay, in November and December, we started seeing those little shoots, right? When I keep saying, and what the numbers show is that if you were waiting for the buyer's market to buy, it was those 3 weeks in December. Right then, there were the sellers in the deepest, darkest pit of despair. That's where you take advantage of them. All right, now we're coming out of January, where a lot of people are very skeptical that we're covering out of this, right? Got a lot of websites out there, a lot of YouTube channels are trying to sell you crypto or gold or something, talk about all the reasons why this crash is going to continue, it's going to be '08 all over again. And as soon as I hear somebody say, oh, it's going to be '08 again, I know they're not a professional, because the professionals all know that sucker kicked off. The real trigger point started November '06, and at that plateau we had in '07. All right, and then we started to see the wheels come off November of '07. All right, and that's when things crashed. But for them, they noticed it in '08, so they call it the crash of '08. And so here we are again, working our way through. Like I said, let's do the slides backwards, all right? This is this week's numbers. This came out on January 26th. These come out every Friday, so the day after I release these videos. But as you see, the only loser that we had out there was Fountain Hills, all right? And they came down 1%. Why are they lagging the rest of the area? I think it has to do with location. It has to do with the price points of the houses out there, right? But they are still at 163.2, still definitely a seller's market, seller's market out there. Paradise Valley, we all know what I think about Paradise Valley, all right? But look at this: Chandler, Cave Creek, Scottsdale, Phoenix, Avondale, Glendale, Mesa, Tempe. These are all seller's markets now. Right. The only true balanced markets we have left is Gilbert, Peoria, and Surprise, and I would not be surprised if Gilbert and Sullivan popped over and joined the seller side, here in the next week or two. Right. Peoria is still lagging a little low. Surprise is still lagging a little low, but they've gone up 20%, month over month. Right. And then we're looking at Goodyear, Queen Creek, Maricopa, and Buckeye. Those are all your buyer leveraged deal cities that you want to go into, right? But you can see Chandler here, they went up 43% over the last month. And what I really wanted to point out to you is this thing I just read off of Comfort Report in relation to this chart here, all right? All right, is that there was a huge increase in demand during January, and this was from an extremely low level as of January 1st, all right? We were very low, all right, in demand on January 1st. You can see that if you go back and look at the numbers and where we were at back then, all right? But the number of listings under contract, these are houses that are in my, contract side of the thing, all right, rose from 5,456 to 7,810. That's an increase of 43%, and that includes the ones that are under contract that are closing and coming off of that. Right? This is by a wide margin the highest percentage increase that they have ever measured from one month to the next. All right, think about that, and they've been doing this going all the way back since 2002. All right. It shows that the buyers are getting used to the interest rates around 6%, and it helps a lot when sellers are willing to help them buy down the initial rate. All right. Pending listings increased almost 40%, while contracts are looking for a backup contingency offer, all right, jumped over 50%. So, and they're calling it, says, hey, it's time to drop the skepticism and enter the hope stage of the cycle. And most business markets, this diagram takes 3 to 5 years to pan out. That'd be from one point of the oscillation all the way through to the other. All right. And at this point, we've moved from euphoria over here to hope, right, in just a year. Because remember, February, we've gone through this entire cycle. What do we need now? We get pop into hope, relief, optimism, enthusiasm, and we're off to the races again. All right. Listings are going under contract so quickly that the supply of new listings cannot keep up, despite a much higher flow of new listings than we saw in December, which is a normal market cycle. That's seasonality. All right. We're headed back towards a supply-constrained market, and it is likely that prices will start to move higher within a short space of time. Asking prices are moving upwards quickly, and these are usually a leading indicator. While there is no guarantee that mortgage rates won't go higher again, 2023 has started out much stronger than anyone expected back in November. This underscores why it's so important to track the market daily, not just once a month. And my add as an editorial, this is why you should get your news in any industry from people who are in the industry, not people who are in the industry of journalism. All right? Like I said, people out in the trenches, on the streets, are going to see this. All right? Then the trade publications that service those people are going to be talking about it. Right. It's going to be at least 3 to 4 weeks before any of that percolates down to the point where you're actually seeing it on the 6 o'clock nightly news. And that's how this thing is going out. We've been seeing this come in. We know it's coming in. But media is still playing catch up, right? Report came out yesterday. It was Case-Shiller numbers, right? Saying that housing starts, housing starts and permits took a dive in November and December. You're sure right they did, because why? Because back in November and December, we're in the depths of despair. But it takes a little while for these numbers to get calculated, for Case-Shiller to survey all the counties and stuff, see how many permits and applications were made, write up the report, run it through the editors, run it through the legal team, and then actually produce the report that most people see. Meanwhile, we're already blowing through that. So a couple other things that I looked into that I wanted to bring up is, once again, we are one of the fastest growing states. We are in one of the fastest growing metro areas. We redid the numbers. We had 194 people, move to Arizona every day last year. Those are the 2022 numbers, 194, and it's probably going to be 194 again or more this year. Right? And we're just not building that many houses a day, especially not if building permits are down. Think about that. And what's the lead time of a house being built nowadays? Last year in 2021, you could look at a house being built within 14 to 16 months after you put money down as a down payment at the builder's office. And they said, yes, you get lot 47 and you're going to be doing, the strawberry floor plan. Okay, so you're going to have a strawberry blossom floor plan on lot 47, all right, and you'll get that in over a year, right? Are we catching up on that? I haven't seen any builder reports saying how fast the turnaround on these builds are, right? But because those builders were putting in building permits but not waiting to break ground until they have contract in hand, right? Then they would start building it, right? It means that those builders are not going to be able to speed up fast enough, right? And get the supply side issue that we have going on that was raising our house prices since easily 2010, 2012. Right? 2012, let me just put that. I'd say 2010, 2012, we were still in the recovery period coming out of the crash. All right, about 2014, 2015 is probably once we had backed up all of that and gotten back to where we should have been if that whole little thing hadn't happened. But we're just haven't been building them as fast as people have been showing up, and we still got people moving into the valley. So long-term projection on that is just going up, guys. All right. Unless we get into a really good shooting war with China or something else like that. But hey, let's think about it. All right. Let's play Ray's creepifying morbid theories on life, right? If, for some reason, we got into a shooting war with China, all right, one, Hawaii real estate prices are going to drop. As a whole bunch of people decide to get out of, Hawaii, at least around the bases, right, and move to the mainland, all right? And then you're going to see a whole bunch of military people show up in Hawaii, all right? Maybe we can get some government housing action going on, all right? But do you really want to be living on the coast, all right? Let's say anywhere downwind of Bremerton in Washington, anything off of Long Beach, all right? San Diego, yeah, San Diego. You'd see people start moving inland and stuff like that. And what, as California continues to be California, and people can continue to leave California and move their companies out of California, more people are going to be coming to Arizona. Right? Hypothetical situation. It's it's one of those things people, it's funny when somebody's asking you and they want you to say, give a fair and balanced news source and stuff like that. So what's the worst that could happen? You know what the worst that could happen is there's an asteroid just coming around Saturn right now. It's 5.5 miles across. It's been coming in the shadow. We haven't been able to see it. It's going to blow through the rings. If we're really lucky, we'll pick it up then and we'll realize that it's coming right at us and there's nothing we can do to stop it. Right? That's the absolute worst case scenario. All right, so don't even bother about that, all right? If, I had somebody ask me once, what would happen to the nuclear plant out there in the desert if it got hit by a tsunami? Palo Verde nuclear plant. What happens if Palo Verde gets hit by a tsunami? And, it's like your first response to that is, if Palo Verde gets hit by a tsunami, all right, I'm much more worried about getting right with Jesus in my life than I am about what downstream radiation, because we're all going to be swimming in about 45 seconds. So don't worry about it. All right? But what we can worry about is what's going to happen with the market rates. February 1st, the Fed, met. They had their conversation. They did the quarter point jump that they pretty much had forecast what was going to happen, what everybody was expecting to happen. So there's no real change there. We have the conversation about what's going on with the inflation. That's about 3 or 4 episodes back. We won't revisit it. All right. But why you're going to start seeing the inflation numbers start being reported as coming down. And, as you can see what's happened with our market rates and everything like that for on interest rates, all right, they're settling into the 5s. In fact, hold on for just a second. I forgot to do some homework. And back from getting my homework assignment done, yeah, Knock yesterday was saying that they're lending money out right now, 30-year fixed at 5.625 with 1 point. All right, and so that's a pretty standard 5% right there. So, and of course, with everything, if your credit score is different, if your borrowing rate is different, that's going to be fluctuating. That's why every lender out there is not going to be able to just give you a number right off the top of their head. They need to go through your paperwork a bit first. But, we can honestly say we're back in the fives, all right? We were projecting we're going to be in the fives. We were talking about being in the fives all the way back in November, when that Barry Habib guy first came out and said, hey, fives coming in January. Well, we got the fives in January. Now we're going into February with fives. This kicks everything loose. And I really think that sudden back off of prices coming that started in March, came down. Remember, from March 2022, right, to the end of the year, we came down 12%. We lost all that growth that we had in January and February going into March. Right, we ended 2022 3% down. Right, you're going to see that start getting arrested. We're going to start traveling back up. That's a good market will have those sudden pauses, those sudden breaks. All right, it's when you have that really super run up without any corrections. All right, that's when you start getting that magic word bubble. All right, when the speculation starts driving price increases, and not a supply side shortage, or lowering overall cost because interest rates are so damn low, all right, that you can afford to buy a lot more house than you could before at the same monthly price. All right, that's when those, that's what drives that up. All right, all of a sudden we didn't have that low interest rate. Things reset at a traditional interest rates in the 5s and 6s, and then all of a sudden the great run-ups weren't so great anymore. So yeah, if you're looking to buy in the next 6 months or so, I would be talking to your lender today. All right, or I would be talking to me, but I'm only going to tell you to go talk to a lender. All right, but start getting that under control. If you're looking, say you're 9 months into a lease, all right, you should have talked to me 2 months ago. All right, but if you're 6 months into a lease, time to start looking at these things. If you want to be a homeowner, hey, some people like that carefree, fancy life of being a renter. Some people are afraid of having to save up money for home repairs. What happens if I get a straight gang move in next door? What happens if the school goes bad? Whatever. And there's a lot of things going on out there, and there's that asteroid that's just clearing around Saturn. Let's not forget about that. So, but other things. Let's take it out, hit the numbers real quick, and then I want to just go into some more national news kind of stuff and discuss that a bit. So here we are looking at the numbers for February 1st, 2023. Actives this week are 15,534, which is down 324, continuing the slide since November. New listings were at 1,951, which is down 24 from last week. Contracts are at 2,547, up in 15. New closings were at 1,415. All right, coming soon to an MLS near you are 652 new listings. Our supply side on this thing, we have sunk down to 66.0, so we have 2 houses for sale where we should have 3. And for on a buyer side and stuff, that we are at 76.2, meaning that we have basically 3 buyers where we should have 4. So that gives us a Cromford report number of 115.5, which puts us in the sellers category as a whole for our region. Once again, all right, this is what we should have based on our population would be 100 in each one of these categories. So when you see 66 here for supply, that means we should traditionally have 100 houses for sale, and we only have 66. And where we have 76 buyers, all right, we should traditionally be having 100. That's based on population and population density and the normal churn and turnover of properties, right? I'm pretty sure you guys are getting sick of me saying that every episode, but I get new viewers like every other episode, so I never know when somebody brand new is going to be watching this. So, but like I said, once again, Cromford reports ended at 115.5. This is numbers from yesterday. We are in the seller's market there. So let's talk about the national news, right? biggest news that's up there in the national news market on, came from that NAR Department of Justice ruling. You guys might remember that Department of Justice decided to investigate the National Association of Realtors back during the Trump administration, saying, hey, we got some problems with the way you do your listings, the way your cooperation rules are. And basically looking at the fact that if you are going to be a real estate agent, you're required, if you sell a property to the public within 1 day of notifying the public that this house is for sale, you have to put it on a local MLS, right? And let everybody knows that's for sale. There's this thing called a pocket listing. A pocket listing is in my pocket and only I know this house is for sale. So I get to go and talk to my friends, my investors. Hey, you know that really cool house on the corner? It's for sale. Put an offer in. Now, for some sellers, they think that that's a benefit. They don't want people knowing that their house is for sale. They don't want a whole bunch of strangers suddenly coming up and peering through the windows and whatnot. You will see this a lot in very high-end industries, very high-end houses, especially if you are the CEO of a major corporation and you suddenly put your house up for sale and the public notices that, there's a chance that they might think you're cashing out and getting out of the company and your stock prices will drop. And so there is actually a reason for that. Some agents out there, those people, might take a listing from grandma, put the house on the market, I'll get you a buyer, and go down to their buddy, the flipper, and have the flipper put an offer in. The house was never publicly marketed, right? And then their flipper gets it, flips the house, and that agent gets to sell it on the back end. So part of the reason to get rid of, pocket listings and stuff was mostly for that grandma scenario, not the CEO scenario. But because Department of Justice, did the investigation, the Department of Justice and National Association of Realtors went and got themselves an agreement. Hey, we're going to do this. We're going to make these changes so Department of Justice is happy and we're back in, their good graces. And everything was fine and dandy until the election. And then the Department of Justice, with the new administration, decided to throw away that agreement that they had and start sending more letters over to National Association of Realtors going, oh, no, the agreement we had, no, that's not on the table anymore. In fact, we want some more documents from you. We want to go on a fishing expedition, basically. So that got shut down by a judge, all right? And the judge basically said, no, you do not get to go into an agreement as a federal government and then suddenly decide to change the nature of your agreement. You're not Darth Vader. This is not the Empire. We're not on Bespin. All right. You had an agreement. You got to at least play that agreement out. So that got kicked back. And it doesn't mean that this thing is necessarily dead. All right. It does mean that it's not going to get addressed, anytime soon. But the clear cooperation agreement issue, where you have to put that on the market, on the MLS, and if it's on the MLS, the seller has, or actually technically it's not the seller, all right, but there has to be something in there saying that an agent who brings you a buyer who buys the house is going to get a part of you, Mr. Seller Agent's commission. I should say listing agent's commission. This has had, a lot of people have had a problem with this, especially what we call discount brokerages. A discount brokerage that might sit there and say, hey, I'll put your house on the MLS for $750. Don't call me again until it sells. And I'll take it off the MLS. On the listing, it will say, do not contact real estate agent, contact the seller directly. Here's his phone number. Don't send me the contract, send the seller the contract. I'm just the advertising company. Right? And these people have problems getting business because they're saying, I'm only charging you $750. But if you're going to put it on the MLS, you have to put some amount of money on there to make it to where buyers' agents are actually going to show up with buyers. So that sort of cuts into their overall, brand and marketing scheme. They want to be able to say flat rate gets your house sold, list with me, let me handle your advertising, and don't call me again until it closes and I'll take it down. They want to be able to do that. But if there's a commission structure or anything going on out there, all right, it really cuts into the way they want to do business. So that's why these lawsuits have come out. These little companies out there who are trying to get rid of the traditional buyers agents get paid program, and buyer's agents get paid by money that was negotiated from the seller by the selling agent or the listing agent. All right. Man, I just screwed that up twice. Okay. Buyer's agents are called the selling agent. The seller's agent is called the listing agent. It is listed and then it is sold. All right. And when I get spun up, I still get those things mixed up all the time. But that's how that works out. So this has been running around. And then you got people coming up who's just saying, well, these real estate agents make too much money. You know, buyer's agent, I mean, all they did was unlock a door. Yeah, that's all they did. They just unlocked a door, and now they think they get all this money. And I'm going to try to do something on the fly right now because I want to see if I can do this. Hold on for just a second. You know, I'm really doing a lot of stuff on the fly on this one. I just drew this picture, and so you can see this. All right. So a lot of people on the lines, they think that this is all that happens. All right. This is the top of the iceberg. You're seeing the just sold pics. You're seeing pictures of happy clients. You're seeing the funny memes, the pretty houses, the closing gifts, the new listings. All right. And then there's all this crap down on the bottom that real estate is actually all about. Right. And we're talking stress of the deal, contracts and paperwork, social media and branding, late night showings. All right. Not getting paid until and if the deal closes, and so on and so on and so forth. All right. I don't even have on here having to do a YouTube video every freaking. That might be under funny memes. No, there was a. Where's the social media outreach marketing on this thing? All right. Appraisal lists use unloyal clients. Those are the ones who waste your time for 5 months and then decide to buy a house at the drive-by. All right. From the selling listing agent, you know, all this other kind of stuff. So that just came out, and I just thought it was funny. So, you know, but because of the way people get paid, you know, they're try and mess with that. All right. I've been talking about this for a year now. That's why we do buyer brokers agreements and everything over here. All right? And reading this article, all right, it actually made me feel good because watching the comments from other agents in the industry, people were actually in the industry. Remember, on the front lines, taking fire, you know, firing our javelins at, you know, Zillow tanks coming over the fricking border at us and stuff like that. Occasionally Molotov cocktailing an open door listing, you know. They're coming up and they're saying stuff like this, right? Patrick Harris, he's a Remax Crossroads. No idea where he's at, but he's brilliant. He's saying if NAR really cared about doing what's right for buyers and sellers, they should declare limited agency and dual agency an unethical practice. You can't have two masters and do your job effectively. Someone always feels slighted, and only one that really wins is the brokerage with the double paycheck. Hey, NAR, if you cared, you'd be going after that. Every time that comes up for a vote, though, all those agents who are really, really happy doing dual agency vote that down. Right? Back to the pocket listings. That's how a pocket listing gets sold. It's a dual agency situation. Right? Here's another gentleman, Ralph O'Dearna. All right, an agent of Coldwell Banker Realty is pushing for NAR to require its members to use buyer broker agreements when they get new buyer clients. All right. Remember, that does not necessarily mean that the buyer is going to be writing a check to their agent. It does mean that the buyer is going to be stating that their agent is going to be getting paid and negotiated amount. All right, it's really interesting. Somebody had a really great argument in here, is that everybody gets to negotiate. All right. The seller gets to negotiate what their agent gets paid. The buyer and sellers get to negotiate, you know, what the price and everything is and who's going to be paying the closing costs. But for some reason, the buyer doesn't actually get to negotiate what their buyer's agent's going to get paid. All right. And I like the way this is all going. All right. If we go industry wide where we get rid of double agent or dual agency, and industry wide we have buyers, you know, sitting out there going in a buyer broker agreement. And the other thing that they mentioned 3 or 4 times, which the lending group doesn't want to see happen, is why can't a buyer finance their agent? They can finance the purchase of the house, all right? If there's enough equity in the house, they can finance their closing costs. But the one thing a lot of lenders don't like to have happen is they don't like to see the buyer's agent getting paid out of borrowed money that the buyer borrows. They can finance, they can put the appraisal and the home inspection on their credit card. They're financing that. All right. But the one thing nobody likes to see that is the buyer's agent. So that means the buyer's agent has to get paid from the seller's agent side. All right. And that's these issues I've had, from like day one. All right. And it's nice to see that if all these years are finally coming around and starting to get this resolved. So other thing we got going on, Zillow. Remember Zillow, they decided they wanted to be home flippers. They failed miserably in a growth market with it was, where you could sell a house in 72 hours. All right. You could build your entire business model about selling your house in 72 hours. And Zillow lost money in that market, underpaying for houses and supposedly selling the house for more than, they bought it for. They now want to do mortgages. All right, so if you're looking at the houses and stuff like that, you're now going to qualify for your mortgage. Not, hey, connect me with a lender, okay, who's local, but you, Zillow, loan me the money for this house. Let's say if I want to do a refi. Let's say I want a HELOC. All right, let's say I want to do a cashback refi where I'm going to start pulling some of my equity out for whatever reason. All right, now you'll just be taking Zillow money. And I swear to God, I hope, I pray, I want them to use the Zillow estimates instead of an appraisal. Why should you bother hiring an appraiser when you already say you have the best algorithm in the market for saying how much a house is worth? Yes, I am an agent of chaos. I really are, aren't I? It's my inner troll, Trollmaste. So that's the first one. Other thing I saw to come up is OfferPad, one of our iBuyers here in town. They just got another $90 million worth of private investment money to continue to play around. It dilutes their shareholder value by 65%, okay, which was not great the last time we looked at it, all right? But it's going to give them about 6 months to a year of continuation at their current burn rate of their money. I still think OfferPad, between OfferPad and Opendoor, I think OfferPad's the one you're going to see live. If those two go into the cage, right, and there's one knife in the middle of the floor, OfferPad's walking out of there a winner, right? But at least here in the Phoenix market, maybe Opendoor's doing better in other markets, but here in Phoenix, nah, they're ooh. Problem is when I'm just talking, is I got so many really great phrases that I really can't say on a family-friendly show. But yeah, OfferPad. Opendoor, fight to the finish. Let's watch it happen. All right. So other thing they're calling out is that they're not seeing any more rate hikes after this last one. So that's good news. And there's a whole article in here, why this economist says today's market is not a do-over of 2008. Yeah, we already know that. We've been listening to Ray Dawson for the last year say that. So last little bit, national news before I wrap up, because I've been going a little long here, talk, is while I was researching today's episode, we get, I'll just show that for you guys. Here we are, new headlines. I am sick of reading these headlines. All right. We have another agent that went missing at the beginning of this year. I just found out this news today, so she was been missing for over a month now because she disappeared on January the 1st, and she was your classic real estate agent. She Instagram accounts, she did all the live, pray, love, hope kind of stuff, talking about being strong and compassionate and gentle and a warrior and this and that and the other thing, and go get him. This is going to be my best year ever. Her words that she was going to manifest 2023 was going to be family, miracles, connection, and strength. And then she disappears. So another real estate agent disappeared. And this entire article is about, how to be safe as a real estate agent. Now, they do a great job on this thing, pointing out that your number one hazard to you in your life is a family member or that person sleeping in bed next to you. All right. That's where domestic violence comes from. It's the leading cause of violence towards men and women. Strangely enough, men have a higher rate of spousal abuse. So we've seen some studies on that they just failed to report because nobody wants to say that your wife kicked your ass. but in studies where anonymous studies where they're able to call that up, it was substantial. All right. It's like ladies for the win, basically getting the spousal abuse on at a higher rate than men beating women. I think the reason why it's underreported is because when a man gets hit by a woman, he goes to the bar. When a man hits a woman, she goes to the ER. All right, I think that's the reason for that. But it calls this out, and it talks about Anna, and it calls out this, that she is missing, and this is what's going on, and you got to watch out for this. And then it has the resolution that we have every freaking year, and it calls us out, all right? The one resolution we forget every freaking year is to be safer this year than last year. This is thing that the Department of Real Estate and National Association of Realtors here at ProStar Realty, all right, and all the chat boards and stuff. Every time somebody disappears, all the little black armbands come on, thinking of you, that kind of stuff. Be safe, people. And then the phone rings and somebody wants to go see that multi-million-dollar listing that's vacant at the end of the dirt road. All right. And you've never heard of these guys before, and you are in the car and driving down there spending the commission in your head. All right. You don't spend commissions when you're dead, people. All right. So they do the entire list of making sure how we stay safe. And I have not done one of those, hey, agents, stay safe speeches, all right? So let people know that you're going out and showing houses. Let people know when you expect to be back, right? Let people know the client you're going out to see with, all right? Don't just sit there and go, oh, yeah, I'm going to go show houses. It's like, I am going to go show houses to Beth or Ruth or whoever the client, Shalish, all right, whoever my client of the day is. I always say, now whether or not the wife's listening to me is a completely different thing, all right, but I said it out loud, all right. Other things, if you're not in that situation, is you can just send your sales manager or your broker showing houses. These are the houses I'm showing if I don't come back, all right. And I love my agents because I've had a couple of them come up and ask me real serious, hey, what is our security policy here? All right. And one of our agents actually asked, what is our carry policy here? And I said, 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, and you call Ray. All right. That's our concealed carry policy here. All right. You don't brandish, you don't threaten. You 2 in the chest, 1 in the head, and then you call Ray, and I tell you to shut the fuck up and call 911. And you don't say a goddamn thing until I show up with an attorney. No, I'm not going back and bleeping that, all right? But still, all right? You need to make sure your car's got safety equipment. You don't want to wind up having a flat dead battery like a certain broker at a certain brokerage might have had yesterday, where this car pulled all the way into his garage nose first. You can take self-defense classes. Okay, you can learn the signs and signals of stalkers. Here in Phoenix, a couple years ago, we had the foot guy, and he would just call. He'd be sitting there texting girls and stuff. I like your listing at 123 Anywhere Street. I have such high. I just think so much of you ladies. You're standing on your feet all day long. It must be awfully painful. You know what? You might need a good foot massage. I've been told I give great foot massages. All right, seriously, this guy was a thing, and it wasn't me. All right, I had the technology. There would be, actor reenactment thing going at the bottom of this, and it turned into a joke, right? But we let everybody know. In our industry, there's this guy out there who is calling you about your listings, and then he starts asking if you want a foot massage. I don't think anybody took him up on it. There was active conversations of doing one of those To Catch a Predator things where we're going to have him show up to a house for a foot massage, and 20 agents are going to be coming up out of there with baseball bats. All right. Don't think that happened. If it was, I didn't get invited to that party. All right. But yeah. We need to make sure that that people look out after each other, that we are safe, all right, that we don't go out and see houses, without anybody else knowing that we're going out, all right. You can make sure that the buyer you're running out with has gotten pre-qualified with a lender that you trust, all right, and that lender has talked to them and has enough information. We know where to send the police if you suddenly disappear when you're showing them a house. Now, in a little bit of research after I did this, read this thing. I did a quick just to see if she was ever found. And remember how I said first couple paragraphs was spousal abuse and number one cause? Yeah, guess what? That's what happened to Anna, supposedly. Her husband was arrested and is being charged. They have not found her body yet, but apparently they got enough video evidence and physical evidence on the scene where they felt that they were able to charge him. All right, this does not mean that everything I said before now, all right, is not just as important. All right, and it does not mean that you should not watch your children and pets around water, and that you should not, do not drive into flooded areas when you're out there. And I definitely, all right, want you to have a great weekend. I'll see you guys next week.